Today we've got the Mustang versus the Camaro, the resurgence of the modern muscle car. Now, I know some of you are saying these are pony cars, and while technically you're right, these are the closest things we have to muscle cars in the modern era, and in the world of the Prius and the... What?
It's with the boots and the ponytail.
I am from Texas. I can get back in touch with my roots for these cars.
You're an idiot. You know, the Mustang never really went away. It's been around in various iterations.
With no competition. It's just been hanging out since the 60s, and the last decade or so, nobody's been around with it.
You're right. Well, now the competition is back. This is the showdown we've been waiting for.
Well, and you know, I'm hoping that these can actually go around corners and not fall over. I mean, we're going to take it on straights and in corners. Maybe it'll do more than just drag from the lights.
You gonna drag in those boots?
I am not, but I do have a trucker hat for you.
Oh, good.
This is the Ford Mustang GT.
Really the same car as was introduced in 2005, but it's been freshened for the 2010 model year.
And there are a lot of things about this car that suggest it shouldn't be much fun to drive. A live rear axle to start off with. And after that, it's down on the Camaro by more than 100 horsepower. But it does weigh 450 pounds less than the Camaro, and that's significant.
You really can't drive a spec sheet. You've got to drive the car for yourself. It's drawn upon its history and its heritage. This is a great machine.
I must say that the 2010 Mustang is a fantastic refining of the Mustang formula. You're probably either a Chevy person or a Ford person. And if you're a Ford person, it doesn't matter what I say.
I'm a Ford guy. This is the car everybody relates to. Everybody knows the Mustang. A lot of people used to have Mustangs. There's more nostalgia attached to this car than there is the Camaro.
The Mustang's like that pretty girl you live next to and forgot about because that girl from Brazil just moved in. The Camaro's the girl from Brazil. Well, okay, Alabama, but still.
The Mustang has been around a long time, but I think in this iteration, this is the best looking car yet. My biggest complaint, it's got an underbite. It's like Benjamin Buford Blue on Forrest Gump. Everything else about it, though, is really sophisticated.
I'm just not compelled by the styling of the Mustang. And this revised version looked like they took the last version and just inflated it.
This car is the tailored gentleman to the Camaro's high school hot rodder.
All of the press materials made a big deal of the fact that the taillights blink sequentially. On a sports car or a muscle car, no one should be talking about the taillights.
I think that's a cool feature. Now the windows are not quite as narrow as the Camaro's, which means I can see.
Especially with this all-glass roof, you're practically sitting in a lighthouse. But unlike the Camaro, the Ford Mustang's interior doesn't feel purpose-built for this car.
Really well laid out, and it's going to age beautifully. It's built well, the materials are honest. The only thing is, I could use a lot less of this chrome. Now, because the greenhouse in the Mustang is a little bit bigger, it feels like the interior has more space.
The back seats are really just there for your insurance guy. Nobody's actually going to want to use them, at least no one with legs. The driver's seat's terrible. It actually feels like a leather-covered park bench.
This car feels like it's more usable.
The Mustang has more body roll than the Camaro. It'd be disconcerting if the steering wasn't so sharp.
But I've got more information in the Mustang, and it's not bad through the corner, it just feels a little high on its suspension.
What you're fighting against that live rear axle is basically an I-beam between the two wheels, and you've got to pray that there's no mid-corner bumps.
Ford has accomplished the impossible. They've used a live rear axle, but the handling is better than the Camaro's.
Crisp, precise turn-in with a lot of body roll and a back that'll slide out from underneath you. It almost feels like you've got the front from one car and the rear from another.
There is no doubt about the power of this car.
Before we all went crazy into the worldwide horsepower wars, 315 horsepower was a lot.
Just because this car has 100 horsepower less than the Camaro, that doesn't mean it's slow. I'm amazed at how willing this engine is, and it sounds fantastic.
Now, Ford has the 5-liter Mustang coming out soon, and it is going to get us over 400 horsepower. We're looking forward to that, but it still doesn't get past the problems that keep it from being as exciting. The Ford Mustang is becoming very close to a world-class car. If they change that live rear axle, they could get there.
I'm really impressed at the overall engine power, the combination of the brakes, the steering, the handling. Even though having independent rear suspension sounds like the better way to go, I'm impressed at what Ford's done.
It's a vast improvement over the prior version, and a genuinely fun car to drive. But I don't find myself cackling with laughter like I do in the Camaro. It just turns me into a child.
Royal Purple is the performance oil that outperforms. More power and torque, reduced wear, better economy, longer oil life. It's so good that 25 out of 28 of America's top high-performance engine builders relied on it at this year's Engine Masters Challenge. Why? Royal Purple delivers real-world performance. Royal Purple, the performance oil that outperforms.
I'm driving the 2010 Camaro SS.
This is pretty much the poster child for the retro muscle car. The Mustang only got it because it was first. This is the one that we drooled on for years until Chevy finally got around to actually making the damn car.
It's up there with apple pie, Coca-Cola, baseball, and everything else that swells your chest with American pride.
I have to wonder how long they're even going to still make cars like this. Because as gas continues to get more expensive, eventually these cars will make no sense. Even if you don't want to own one of these, you need to go somewhere and drive it. If you're interested in muscle cars, it's because you kind of want to relive the days gone by. The Camaro will do that. In fact, what is it about the red-blooded American male that we like V8 noise so much? It just turns me into a 5-year-old with a driver's license.
One more reason the Taliban hates us. It's an angry, mean, muscular styling, but it really spills over onto the driver.
The Camaro is an attitude amplifier. If you go through life with a little bit of swagger, you're gonna go through life with 110% swagger when you own this car. They just drive along beside you on the freeway and stare at the Camaro.
This is a hot-looking car. It's got very sharp, angular styling. There's a lot of creases. Personally, I don't like the 3 shapes just ahead of the rear wheels. It's kind of a faux vent shape, and I'm not sure what it's doing there.
I do like the styling of the Camaro. In fact, I like it inside and out, and I can't say that for either the Mustang or the Challenger.
It suffers from the American car design disease of being way too big. Sitting in the Camaro for the first time, this has got to be one of the best GM interiors I've ever been in.
They maintained the conical gauges that used to be on the old muscle cars, and extra gauges for things like transmission temp. It's actually a fantastic place to be, unless you're the passenger. It looks like GM didn't really know what to do for the passenger, so they decided to just do nothing.
All the controls are really centered around the driver, but I like it. It's just clean and interesting, except for these stupid seats. It feels like they're cream-filled sponge cake.
I understand that about 3/4 of this car is engine bay, but the back seats are still completely unusable and the trunk is surprisingly small.
The car just simply doesn't need to be this big and heavy.
It has the low and planted feel you would normally expect in a full sports car.
It does, it just doesn't give me the kind of feedback I'm looking for.
The tighter the road gets, the larger the Camaro gets. It doesn't have the body roll of the Challenger, which feels like a listing ship. This feels like a linebacker trying to learn to dance. He can do it, he's just not real thrilled about it.
This thing is a pig. It feels the same going straight as I do going through a corner. So that means my confidence level is a lot less.
I don't really feel like the steering wheel directly connects me to the pavement, but the Camaro is so wide and the suspension is firm enough that it still gives you confidence. With an engine note like this, you really want to wrestle it around. It just turns me into a child.
The engine is the best part about this car. This is a massive engine.
It's addictive. Suddenly you turn into a hooligan. You can be in any gear at any time, look at a hole in traffic and go, can I pass there? Yes, you absolutely can.
The car negates everything that Prius drivers worldwide are trying to do by saving gas. It's like 1 Camaro equals 5 Prii. Now, there is a gripe that I have with the transmission, and that is this stupid gas-saving feature.
That the center console tells you when you're in first gear how to shift from first to fourth. In fact, it tries to lock you out and force you to go first to fourth.
What's up with that?
I don't know, I'm just thinking if you're gonna have a diagram in a car like this, it makes more sense that it shows you how to put your foot through the firewall. I don't want to drive this nice. Not now, not later.
I feel like I'm driving like a jerk everywhere I go in the Camaro. I'm blipping the throttle, revving the engine, jumping in line, cutting ahead of people, roaring away from the stoplight. It turns me into something I'm not.
I did something I haven't done in years. I sat at a stoplight and instead of being bored or listening to the radio or making a phone call, I rolled down the windows and just revved the engine. And it was glorious.
It's a huge, fat American car. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of fun. Would I own one though? I don't think so.
With more steering feel and a little bit more interior space, the Camaro would become one of my very favorite cars.
All right, so we've driven a couple of the modern interpretations of the muscle car. The Challenger isn't here, but of the two, which do you like?
The Challenger, I'm actually glad isn't here for one reason. This was an awfully windy road today. And the Challenger,
Well,
it's got
yeah.
the most body roll by far, probably 800 pounds
These
on some of these cars.
aren't typically taken on roads that we do today.
No, we really ran them through the ringer. And
Yeah.
the thing is, of these two, Camaro wins. Absolutely.
You think so?
Oh, no question. It's a muscle car. It's anger on wheels.
Yeah, but I felt like a jerk. Everybody on the road hates me because I
Anger on
drive like a
wheels.
jerk.
That's a muscle car. That's why you buy one. You don't buy one to be nice. It's the anti-Prius.
Well,
You said it to me.
I like the Mustang. It's got a little bit more sophistication. The styling's a little bit nicer. It's going to age better. It handles better.
The Challenger will age better than both of these two. But I'm sorry, you cannot argue refinement on a Mustang with a live rear axle beam in the back. That's not refined. That's technology from
Yeah, but-
the days of horse and cart.
You got to admit, it handles better than the Camaro.
Better is relative. It's more precise.
You know, whatever you're looking for.
No, not whatever you're looking for. Muscle cars. Camaro, come on.
A combination of good brakes and tighter handling really make this the driver's car of the two. Camaro's just a hot rod. This is a true enthusiast car.
The Mustang isn't exciting in the mundane. So for a car that you'll drive every day and sit in traffic and figure out parking for and throw your groceries in, the Camaro is going to keep you interested longer.
I don't think I'd want a car this big, this heavy, and this thirsty to drive every day. Plus, it makes me a really aggressive driver.
This car's fun to be seen in, it's a blast to drive, it's fun to sit in traffic. And ultimately, if you're going to spend this much money on an automobile, you should smile all the time.